Hello and welcome to the Super Centex High School Football #Trib Friday Night Multimedia Podcast with better posture this week.
Oh, wow.
I'm Chad Conine with the Waco Trib Sports Editor Brice Cherry. We're back again for another installment of the show using video again this week. We are journeying further into the football season. We got the fourth week coming at us, Brice. I'm going to take us on a sharp left turn here in a minute.
Okay.
But before we do that, let's start out with the pound-for-pound ranking, so we at least talk a little bit of high school football before I do that.
Pound-for-pound rankings come to you, sponsored by Better Posture.
Yeah.
This time I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Usually I go in reverse. I'm going to start with number 1.
We don't value anything as high as we value variety on this show.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Absolutely. We're going to keep it fresh, keep it lively, keep people tuning in. And the top 3 for me have not changed. Number 1 is Mart. The Panthers continue to just roll along as they do. And if you were saying, give me one team in Central Texas that's the best bet to win a state championship, it's the Mart Panthers. And so that's not going to change, I don't think, probably all season long.
And maybe not next season.
Yeah, exactly. Because the core of that team are juniors.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A very impressive team. And just like 1A to me is La Vega. I mean, that margin is very, very slim because La Vega just keeps proving itself week after week against the best teams in the state. And it's thoroughly impressive.
One thing that I think is significant about the state championship game last year after they lost to Carthage, you could see it. You know, even though Coach Don Hyde isn't a man of many words, he came into the post-game press conference as it is there at the state championship game. You know this. Some of our viewers might not. 15 weeks out of the year, you go down to the field, you interview the coach and the players on the field after the game. You get to the state championship game, and they've got a press conference situation set up there at AT&T Stadium. So the one takeaway from that post-game press conference that I had is how badly Don Hyde wanted to win it and how tough he knows it is to climb the mountain to get to that stage and how determined he was to climb it again and be back in that game this season.
And I think he has set up La Vega well by playing all these kind of teams earlier in the year because they're going to be battle tested and they're going to kill some teams in district play. I mean, my number 3 team remains Jonesboro. The Eagles are still undefeated.
Okay.
Ranked number 2, I believe, in 1A Division 1. So they're going to be there, pretty much all year. My 4 and 5 now have changed. And I'll get to the team I dropped out of the poll here in a second. But my number 4 team is now China Spring.
Right. I thought they might move up to 3.
So I've got the Cougars at 4, and part of that is, I think Jonesboro, just in their classification, is a little bit higher up than China Spring is in their classification.
Fair enough, yeah, pound for pound.
Pound for pound, that's what we're doing here. And so, but China Spring, I mean, I love the way that Brian Bell is doing it with this team, with running the ball, playing defense. That's not... maybe the typical China Spring MO, They've always slung it around the field a whole lot, but they are getting it done, and that was a big win at Brownwood. They certainly proved me wrong. I went with Brownwood in that pick, and you got that one on me. But.
Yes, I did, and they went a division up in that game, right? Yeah.
Yeah, China absolutely dropped down to 4A Division II this year, which I think just makes them maybe, that much tougher.
Right.
My number 5 team is Bremond, who enters the poll for me this week, and the Tigers are 2-1. Probably not at that Rashad Paul level Bremond, but certainly a top 10 team in the state. And Seth Kosowski, the coach's son there, is a great running quarterback. I mean, he's got like 500 yards rushing already through 3 games. So, the Tigers are going to be a team to watch. That should be a fun game. Aren't they in the same district with Mark this year?
Yes. And then Chilton is in that district as
Yeah.
well. I think there's one more maybe potential.
Maybe Hubbard or
Right.
We gotta look that up, but certainly Mark and Bremond together, that'll be fun.
Oh yeah, it's a great district game.
The team I dropped out of the poll this week, and my reasoning here, it's pretty simple. They lost, but it's Connally Cadets.
Mm-hmm.
I had Connally in there. Now Connolly's 2 losses. Now they're 1 and 2, are to 2 very good teams. One, La Vega, who we've already discussed.
Right.
The other one last week was Springtown, who we picked Connally to win that game.
Right.
But it was a state semifinalist team from a year ago.
Yep, they lost to La Vega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No slouch, obviously. And so, and again, a division up in 4A. I think the thing that Connally took out of that game, I talked to Shane Anderson. And he said, "Look, we've got to. Our word of the week is discipline. Mm-hmm. We've got to play more disciplined."
Did you say 100 yards and penalties?
100 yards and penalties. I mean that will lose you some games.
Yep.
And so I think if Connally can clean up those kind of things, they're still going to beat a whole lot of teams with guys like Kavion Gaither and Tyler Webb and Trey Wisner, however you say that kid's name. So Connally remains on our radar, but just out of the power poll this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you ready for the left turn? You ready for the left turn watching at home?
All right. Okay. Don't steer us off the road too far.
Well, I don't know. I mean... So last night I can't remember if I was calming down or winding down. I needed to do both at different points during the evening. Mm-hmm. But I was putting together a new Spotify playlist, right?
Okay.
Just a couple of songs popped into my head, and it occurred to me to do this playlist.
Do we have the rights to these songs? Can we play these songs? Are you gonna get us in trouble?
We better not play them.
Yeah.
Some of these bands still exist.
Okay.
But no, so it's my junior high dance playlist.
Okay.
And so I just started dumping all the songs I remember from junior high. And so you want to hear what a few of them are? Right?
Well, sure.
Okay, so 18 in Life by Skid Row.
Okay.
This is going to date me quite a bit, I think.
Yes.
Patience by Guns N' Roses.
Nice one.
Everything I Do It For You by Bryan Adams.
Okay.
That's a good slow dance.
Yes,
song.
well, and the thing about that song, I loved that song, but it was like number 1 for a good
forever. That's all you heard that summer.
Yes, and so everybody got tired of it.
Right. End of the Road by Boyz II Men.
Nice.
Ice Ice Baby, one of your favorites.
Yes, one of my favorites. I ran for Spanish club president in high school. I'm a little bit older than you. Under the slogan "Vote for Brice Baby."
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
And you can be emailed at bricebaby@gmail.com.
Yes, that's right.
And then I'll just give you 2 more. Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. And Every Rose Has Its Thorn by Poison.
There you go. That's good stuff.
So anyway, other than just sharing that trip down memory lane, it got me to thinking, number one, what's your junior high song that you remember more than anything else? And then since we are talking about football, give me not your favorite song from junior high and your favorite football player from that era.
Okay, so again, you are dating us, and I am a few years older than you. Kyrie by Mr. Mister.
Okay.
It remains one of my all-time favorite songs.
Okay.
It definitely has that 80s synthesizer sound to it.
Right.
And I was very much into the hair bands of the 80s, so I mean, Living on a Prayer.
Oh, I got that one on this
There you
playlist.
go. There you go.
Yeah,
I mean,
the last
Bon
one I
Jovi.
added, actually.
I love Bon Jovi.
And I was picking between Living on a Prayer and You Give Love a Bad Name.
Okay, yes. Which to me, You Give Love a Bad Name was kind of their first big hit. And then Living on a Prayer kind of even went to a next level.
Right.
And then Here I Go Again by Whitesnake. Maybe Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard.
Another one that I put on there, yeah.
So, I was into the hair bands, but I was also into, like, the hip-hop of the day. I liked Run DMC and the Beastie Boys. And so,
I put crisscross songs.
Did you wear
I did not wear my clothes backwards.
Okay,
no.
good.
No.
Yeah. So it's just a musical interlude here. Is that? Do you have more to this question?
No, your favorite football player from that era.
Favorite football player from that era. And you have said that I can go any pro, college,
high school, college, pro, whatever you want.
So as many know, that I am a big Houston fan.
Right.
I did go to school my first 4 years in Houston, and then moved to Bremond, which is not far away from Houston. And so Warren Moon would be right up there in terms of that era. I loved the Oilers.
And we're talking young Warren Moon too, right?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, when I was in junior high, I would have been like, so what age are you in junior high? 13, 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been like 86, 87. So
Right,
when he was really just kind of breaking in with the Oilers. Because before that, he had to go the CFL route.
Yeah.
And
that
then,
would be the Jerry Glanville Houston Oilers.
Oh, yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
House of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, another band that's on my playlist.
There you go. The House of Pain. Yes, that's a great college football song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jump around.
Jump around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they play that in Madison, Wisconsin for sure. If you need a YouTube
Jump
around
at Wisconsin Badger football games.
Yeah, I think it's Camp Randall Stadium.
Yeah.
Andre Ware would probably be the other one. College-wise, I don't really have an affiliation, but certainly when, and that probably would have been more into my high school years when he made his Heisman run, 89. But when he was making his run and throwing all those touchdowns and just piling up stat after stat, I was all in on Andre Ware.
Did you know, here's an interesting fact about Andre Ware. The day he played a game on the day that he won the Heisman Trophy.
I did not.
And that's
know
weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
that is weird.
Now there's like
it's after the
championship game.
Right, sure.
Yeah. So they played Rice that day, and then he won the Heisman Trophy that
That's
day.
a cool, and now that you say that sort of like rings in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those would be the guys, and I will say I do still have a Warren Moon jersey.
Mm-hmm. Of course you do. I would be disappointed if you didn't still have a Warren Moon jersey.
And the Houston Oilers cap and all that stuff. So if you would like me to break that out on next week's podcast.
I would like that, yeah.
I mean, we got to give the viewers what they want.
Especially since my fantasy football team is named the Castle Heights Oilers.
Well, there you go. That's pretty good. That's good stuff.
Now, we
Who
can't
would be
sign...
your favorite guys from that era?
Okay. So, when I went into high school when the Cowboys got great.
Okay.
My freshman year is when they won the Super Bowl for the first time since 1977, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I guess Emmitt Smith... He wasn't a rookie. He was like his second year, right? And so you had this crescendo of the Cowboys. But before that, obviously you remember the Buffalo Bills were already good.
Mm.
And again, fantasy football. My dad and some buddies of his had a fantasy football league where somebody would look through the newspaper every day and total up the tallies. And they'd mail out the sheets with all the scores.
God bless those pre-internet days.
Yeah, the pre-internet fantasy football.
Newspapers did very well back then because we were feeding all the fantasy gurus.
Well, and back in those days, you could really score some points with the Bills' defense. And then, of course, they had Thurman
Smith.
Thomas. Yeah, in offense, they had Thurman Thomas and one of the Andres, I think. Andre Reed. Yeah, and Jim Kelly, of course. But yeah, I think probably Thurman Thomas might have been my favorite. Plus, a Temple running back. They had a Temple running back.
What was his name? Davis? Maybe?
Yeah. That he'd gone to TCU. He was Temple, TCU, and then he was Bill.
I feel like Kenneth Davis is his name.
Kenneth Davis. Yeah. And his cousin went to high school, went to junior high and high school with me. His name was Autry Gray.
Okay.
So those are some of my favorites from junior high, I think.
Gotcha.
Plus Warren Moon. I was kind of a hybrid Houston Dallas fan. I was making that transition, in that at that stage of my life.
It's good to see that we have not hit complete senility yet, and that we can still remember these guys.
Mm-hmm. I know, and we didn't write them down right before we came in here.
Yeah, well, this is true.
Now, we can't sign off this week with talking a little bit about number 1 versus number 2. The La Vega Pirates, who started the season at number 1 in Class 4A Division 1, and have since been bumped from that spot by Argyle. Now, this week, top-ranked Argyle will host number 2 La Vega in a renewal of a red-hot rivalry. My question then, is Argyle the biggest rival for the La Vega Pirates?
So that is a very interesting question. And I feel like Dave Aranda when I say that, because he likes to actually say that. If you give him a thoughtful question, he'll say, it's an excellent question. So that's an excellent question. So, because most rivalries, when you think of them, just like most news, is local. Most rivalries are local. But to me, it says something about both programs when you can establish a rivalry and maybe create a number 1 rival out of a program that's across the state, that's a statewide rivalry. And I absolutely think you can make that case. I hadn't really thought of it before you said it, but like as soon as you asked that question, it was like, yeah, that makes complete sense. Argyle probably is La Vega's number 1 rivalry, because you're talking about they've met on the biggest stage, and it's become a regular thing, a regular occurrence. And it's not even just limited to football. They've played in girls basketball at the state stage, so they're meeting in other sports as well. So then you get that little bleed over where, it kind of intensifies the rivalry. So,
but I don't think Argyle wanted any part of that La Vega track team from 2019.
Well, that is absolutely right, because that La Vega track team could go. But I'm going to say yes, that Argyle has. We talked about the Connally-La Vega rivalry and as an up-and-coming rivalry. And I think, if you're talking about local La Vega rivals, Connally and China Spring, in some order, are the ones. But if you're talking about who is the team that La Vega is going up against on a fairly regular basis that's giving it its biggest test, that's Argyle.
Well, this is 5 times in 25 months or something. Right.
Yeah.
They played twice in 18, twice in 19.
And La Vega beat Argyle for its first state championship with Willie Williams when he was still coaching there. So, it's become a lot of fun.
So it's not a district or geographic rivalry. It's completely created by meaningful games. In that sense, can you think of any other rivalries that have sprung up in quite that way? I mean, maybe the Cavaliers Nuggets.
Cavaliers Nuggets.
I mean, not Cavaliers Warriors. So
that's absolutely who I would go with.
Yeah.
Warriors Cavs. If you're going to compare it to anything, I think that's the best comparison, because for a good 4-year stretch there, that was the NBA Finals every year, and not only that, but you felt like you could not even pencil it in, but pen it in at the start of the year, that it was going to be Cleveland and Golden State at the end of the year, and that's the way it was, and it became to the point where it was like, man, this is getting kind of boring, and yet it was such a great rivalry, and Cleveland, beat them one time, and so that added a little spice to it, and so, I think Golden State, Cleveland, I mean, to me, that's maybe the best rivalry, because the other ones that come to mind, like maybe a Duke, North Carolina, well, those are geographic rivals and conference rivals.
Yeah.
And well established. So, you don't think of it as a traditional rival. It's more one that, like you said, was created through competition.
Right. I think I said Nuggets. I think I was thinking Golden Nuggets.
You need to go to Vegas.
The Las Vegas, the casino there. I think that's on Fremont Street, where the Golden Nugget is. Anyway.
Well, maybe we'll go down to the Golden Nugget and we'll see Bon Jovi play. And
I bet Jason Norris would go with us to see Bon Jovi.
And Jim Barnes.
Yep.
We
2
got
of
some
our former colleagues.
Friends in Las Vegas. Yes, friends and former Tribbers.
Yep. Excellent. Well, that's a podcast.